Have you ever felt like the world is moving too fast, while you're being left behind? Like one day you woke up and everything had changed. The way people look at you, the way society treats you, even the way you see yourself. It's like you've become invisible. But what if I told you, this isn't just happening to you? People have felt this for thousands of years. And the wisest among them? They discovered truths that don't just help you cope with aging, they help you thrive. These lessons change their lives, and they can change yours too, starting today. Before we dive into these ancient secrets, make sure you're part of this journey. Subscribe now for real wisdom on aging stronger, living better, and feeling younger every day. Let's take back control together. Aging can feel like a slow goodbye. Your body changes, people stop listening, and deep down you wonder, is this just how it is now? The things that once came easy, your energy, your sharpness, your sense of purpose, start to feel like they're slipping away. And the world, it moves on, sometimes making you feel like you're being left behind. But here's the truth. What you're feeling isn't new. People throughout history have faced the same fears. The fear of losing relevance. The fear of being forgotten. The fear of waking up one day and realizing that life has quietly passed them by. But not everyone accepted it. Some discovered a different way. A way to not just grow old, but to grow powerful. To make age their ally instead of their enemy. And their wisdom. It's more relevant today than ever before. What if the problem isn't aging itself, but the way we've been taught to see it? What if everything you believe about getting older, feeling weaker, feeling smaller, feeling less, was never true to begin with? The Power of Reinvention, inspired by Stoicism and Eastern wisdom. Most people think aging is a slow decline. A series of losses, less energy, fewer opportunities, fading relevance. But what if that's the biggest lie we've been told? What if aging is actually the greatest opportunity for reinvention? The Roman philosopher Seneca once wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." He believed aging wasn't about fading, it was about evolving. In ancient times, elders weren't cast aside. They were seen as those who had finally reached their true power, because experience gives something youth never can: wisdom, depth, and the ability to create a life with true meaning. But here's the problem: most people don't reinvent themselves. They cling to their past identity, mourning what they've lost, instead of discovering what's still possible. That's when aging feels like an ending, when in reality it should be a beginning. Think about it. Every major phase of your life required reinvention. You weren't the same person at 40 that you were at 20. You changed, you adapted, you grew, and now you have more freedom than ever before. No more proving yourself, no more chasing things that don't matter. The question is, what will you do with this time? The ancient Stoics believed that power doesn't come from youth, it comes from mastery. And mastery comes from experience. Imagine if, instead of seeing this stage of life as a limitation, you saw it as your time to fully step into who you were meant to be, to finally focus on what truly matters, to create, to explore, to teach, to leave a legacy. The truth is, your life doesn't shrink with age. It expands in new directions, if you let it. But that requires a shift in mindset. You're not just growing older, you're stepping into a version of yourself that has more wisdom, more resilience, and more power than ever before. The question is, will you embrace it? So tell me, what's one thing you've always wanted to do but never did? Maybe it's learning a new skill, traveling somewhere new, or changing the way you see yourself. Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. To the strength of simplicity, inspired by Japanese ikigai and ancient monastic life. Have you ever noticed that the more we try to keep up with life, the more exhausting it feels? The endless to-do lists, the clutter, the constant noise. It's overwhelming. But here's something interesting. The people who live the longest, happiest lives, they do the opposite. In Okinawa, Japan, there's a village where more people live past 100 than almost anywhere else in the world. And they don't just live long, they live well. They wake up with purpose, move with energy, and spend their days filled with connection and joy. Their secret? Simplicity. They live by a philosophy called ikigai, which means reason for being. It's the idea that life is best when it's clear, focused, and meaningful, not busy, cluttered, or rushed. Unlike in the modern world, where people are constantly chasing the next thing, more money, more achievements, more possessions, the Okinawans focus on just a few things that truly matter: meaningful work, deep relationships, movement, and gratitude. They grow their own food, they take walks instead of stressing in traffic, and they spend time with people who uplift them. And because of this, they don't just add years to their life, they add life to their years. This wisdom isn't just found in Japan. Ancient monks, from Buddhist monasteries to Christian hermits, all practice the same truth. The more you strip away the unnecessary, the more life gives you back. They believed complexity drains life, but simplicity fuels it. And now, modern science agrees. Studies show that people who focus on fewer, meaningful things, not chasing everything, are healthier, happier, and live longer. So why do most people get it wrong? Because society teaches us that more equals better. More money, more possessions, more distractions. But in reality, the more we pile on, the heavier life feels. Stress creeps in, our minds get restless, and suddenly we're too busy surviving to actually live. But imagine if you let go of the unnecessary. Imagine if you focused only on what truly matters: your health, your relationships, your passions. How much lighter would life feel? How much more alive would you be? The truth is, aging well isn't about doing more. It's about doing less of the things that drain you and more of the things that fulfill you. So, here's a question for you. If you had to remove one thing that's causing stress in your life, what would it be? A toxic habit? A useless obligation? A cluttered space? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. 3. The mind shapes the body. Inspired by ancient Indian Ayurveda and Greek philosophy. Have you ever noticed how stress makes you feel older? How a single day of worry can leave you exhausted, while a day of excitement fills you with energy? That's not just in your head, it's a truth that ancient wisdom knew long before. Modern science confirmed it. Your mind doesn't just reflect your body, it shapes it. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." To the Stoics, the mind was the command center of the body. It could create resilience or invite suffering. Thousands of miles away in ancient India, Ayurveda taught the same lesson. As is the mind, so is the body. Their healers believed that negative thoughts, fear, anger, regret don't just stay in the mind. They weaken digestion, tighten muscles, and drain life force. Meanwhile, a peaceful mind, it keeps the body strong, vibrant, and full of energy. Now, modern science confirms what the ancients knew. Chronic stress raises inflammation, damages the heart, and accelerates aging. But people who train their minds, who focus on gratitude, purpose, and calmness, actually age more slowly. Their bodies stay stronger, their health lasts longer. The problem: most people let their thoughts control them. Instead of learning to control their thoughts, they wake up overwhelmed. They let small problems ruin their day. They replay regrets from the past, worry about the future, and carry stress that weighs down their body like a heavy chain. But imagine if you took back control. Imagine if, instead of focusing on problems, you focused on solutions. Instead of dwelling on what's lost, you focused on what's possible. If you trained your mind like a muscle, strengthening it with positive habits, you'd feel lighter, stronger, and even younger. This isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about guarding your thoughts like you would guard your health. Because in the end, your thoughts don't just affect your mood. They shape your body, your energy, and your entire experience of aging. So tell me, what's one thought or worry that you're ready to let go of? Something that's been draining you for too long? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. 4. Connection over isolation, inspired by indigenous and tribal wisdom. There's a painful myth in modern society, the idea that as you get older, you become less relevant, that your best years are behind you, that the world moves too fast, leaving you to the sidelines. But if you look at history, at the way ancient cultures treated their elders, you'll see a completely different story. In many indigenous tribes, elders weren't pushed aside. They were honored as wisdom keepers. Their experiences, their stories, their lessons, these weren't seen as outdated. They were seen as essential. In Native American traditions, elders played a central role in decision-making, guiding younger generations through life's toughest challenges. In many African and Aboriginal cultures, elders didn't just live among their people. They were the heart of the community, passing down knowledge through storytelling, rituals, and mentorship. And in these societies, elders weren't lonely. They weren't forgotten. They were deeply connected, deeply valued. Now look at today. Too many older adults feel invisible, disconnected, as if their voices don't matter anymore. And it's not their fault. It's the way modern society is structured. With every new technology, every cultural shift, we've moved further and further away from what used to hold communities together. Instead of honoring wisdom, we chase new and fast. Instead of valuing experience, we prioritize youth. And the result, millions of older adults struggling with loneliness, feeling like they no longer have a place in the world. But here's the truth, you were never meant to fade into the background. Your wisdom, your experiences, your stories, they matter. And the moment you start sharing them, something incredible happens. You don't just help others, you reignite your own sense of purpose. Because connection isn't just about having people around. It's about feeling needed, feeling valued, feeling like you still have something to give. Science now confirms what ancient cultures always knew. Studies show that people who stay socially connected live longer, have stronger immune systems, and keep their minds sharper. Meaningful relationships can reduce stress, lower the risk of dementia, and even add years to your life. On the other hand, loneliness, it's as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It's not aging that breaks people, it's disconnection. So what can you do? Start small. Reach out to an old friend. Share a story with someone younger. Offer advice from your own experiences. Find ways to stay involved in your community. Even if it's just a conversation, a small act of connection can change someone's life, including yours. Because the truth is, someone out there needs the wisdom you have. A younger person struggling with something you've already been through. A friend who needs your perspective. A family member who could learn from your journey. 5. Growth never stops. Inspired by Taoism and Buddhist teachings. There's a belief that once you reach a certain age, growth stops. That learning, improving, and evolving are things for the young. But this couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, some of the greatest wisdom traditions in history teach the opposite. The moment you stop growing is the moment you start dying. In a quiet temple in Japan, a young student once asked his Zen master, a man in his 90s, "Master, why do you still practice every day? Haven't you already mastered everything?" The old master smiled and said, "The moment I stop learning is the moment I stop living." To him, age wasn't a reason to slow down. It was a reason to go deeper, to keep evolving, to keep experiencing life fully. The Taoists of ancient China had a saying, "Be like water, always flowing, always adapting." Water never stays still because stillness leads to stagnation, and they believed the same was true for life. The body may slow down with age, but the mind and spirit can keep growing forever. Whether it's learning a new skill, finding a new passion, or simply seeing life from a new perspective, growth is what keeps life meaningful. But here's the problem. Modern society has convinced people that after a certain age, this is just how things are. That they're too old to start something new. That they should settle into routines and stop exploring. And that's why so many people feel stuck, uninspired, and disconnected from life. Not because of aging itself, but because they've stopped growing. But what if you challenged that? What if you adopted the mindset of the Zen master, the Taoist, the lifelong learner? Imagine the excitement of trying something new, the joy of discovering something you never thought possible. Whether it's learning a new language, picking up an old hobby, or simply shifting the way you think about aging, growth is always an option. And the more you grow, the more alive you feel. Science backs this up. Studies show that people who actively challenge their minds, whether through reading, problem solving, or even social engagement, are less likely to develop cognitive decline. Neuroplasticity research proves that the brain can form new connections at any age. The key isn't how old you are, it's how open you are to learning, curiosity, and change. So here's the truth. Aging isn't the end of your story. It's the next chapter, and you get to write it. The wisdom of the past has already shown us the way. Reinvent yourself, simplify your life, strengthen your mind, stay connected, and never stop growing. But wisdom only works if you use it. So start today. Choose one lesson from history and live it. Whether it's finding a new purpose like the Stoics, embracing simplicity like the Okinawans, or staying open to growth like the Zen masters, your future is still yours to shape. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 truths resonated with you the most? Was it the power of reinvention, the strength of simplicity, the mind-body connection, the importance of relationships, or the belief that growth never stops? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And if you're ready to age better, not just older, hit subscribe. Let's do this together. The best years aren't behind you. They're still ahead.